They said humans couldn't handle alien toxins. Then I drank it, smiling. The words echoed through the crystalline chamber of Velar Academy's poison trial, a ritual every cadet had to endure. For centuries, alien species with stomachs lined in metal-like fibers, quadruple livers, and natural toxin glands had strutted through the gauntlet of bubbling cauldrons and misting fumes. Each test carefully designed to eliminate the weak. Victors earned honor, survivors were rare, and failures became names whispered in cautionary tales. Yet today, in the circle of sleek, transparent tubes filled with hissing vapor, a single human stood at the center. His name was Ryan Keller, a young exchange cadet from Earth, whose wiry frame and relaxed grin didn't inspire much fear in anyone. The alien cadets watched him with mocking curiosity, their ridged brows raised, their segmented mandibles twitching in amusement, their scaled hides gleaming in the torchlight that flickered along the chamber walls. He looked so ordinary among them, his academy tunic wrinkled at the edges, a faint smear of breakfast still on his sleeve. "Are you certain you wish to continue, human?" the Arbiter asked, a towering insectoid with multifaceted eyes that glittered like broken glass. "Your biology is not adapted to withstand these trials. Even our strongest cadets struggle." "Yeah, I heard," Ryan replied casually. "But you also said every cadet has to take it. So, pour me a glass, coach." A ripple of laughter cascaded around the room. The reptilian Zarn, who had spent weeks bragging about his triple stomach, hissed in glee. "The human doesn't even understand what's in front of him. He'll collapse before the first flask is empty." The first poison was brought forward, a glowing violet liquid that steamed as it touched the crystalline cup, known as Troll Essence. It was infamous for tearing through nervous systems like lightning, sending cadets into convulsions before their redundant organs could stabilize the damage. Ryan lifted it, sniffed the rim, wrinkled his nose, then shrugged and downed it like it was bad grape soda. Gasps and chittering filled the hall as he wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. "Tastes like cough syrup," he muttered. The alien cadets blinked in disbelief. Zarn's forked tongue flickered nervously. The second poison delivered by drones came in 3 forms: a powder, a vapor, and a gel. Cadets were required to withstand all 3 in succession. The powder burned through mucous membranes, the vapor seared lungs, and the gel corroded skin cells. It had taken entire clutches of insectoid students out of the running in previous years. Ryan sneezed at the powder, coughed at the vapor, then smeared the gel across his arm and frowned. "Feels like bad sunburn," he said, waving his hand dismissively. The instructor drone beeped, recalibrated, and announced that his vitals were somehow stable. The murmurs rose louder, tinged with fear. Now, the third trial was the deadliest venom of Jax, harvested from creatures that dwelled at the edge of vacuum rifts. This concoction shut down circulatory systems in seconds, leaving victims statuesque before they even hit the ground. 3 cadets had already been carried away, their bodies limp, revival drones failing to resuscitate them. The Arbiter raised a katana's claw. "Human cadet, this is the end. You may step aside now, and none will dishonor your retreat." "Retreat?" Ryan grinned. "I came all this way. Might as well finish the flight." He raised the vial, clear as water, but shimmering with ominous undertones, and downed it in one gulp. The silence was total, the academy waiting for him to collapse. Instead, Ryan tilted his head, smacked his lips, and muttered, "Kind of like cheap vodka." The chamber exploded in uproar. Zarn staggered back, eyes wide, while other cadets shouted disbelief. "Impossible," one screeched. "His cells should be crystallizing," another bellowed. The Arbiter clicked rapidly, summoning a swarm of analysis drones that surrounded Ryan, scanning his blood, his breath, his brain waves. Results streamed across hollow screens, displaying chemical reactions that defied alien logic. Human enzymes, messy and adaptable, were chewing through the toxins like snacks at a party. His liver, though singular, was churning at a pace no alien system had evolved to match. The Arbiter's mandibles parted. "It seems his biology is not weak. It is chaotic, unpredictable, and resistant." Ryan blinked at the swarm of drones, still standing casually. "So I passed." The Arbiter inclined his massive head. "You survived what others could not." "Cool," Ryan said, stretching his arms. "What's for lunch?" The alien cadets whispered furiously, their eyes flicking between one another. Some were horrified, others fascinated, but one truth spread quickly through their ranks. The human wasn't weak. He was dangerous in ways none of them understood. And while Ryan scratched his head and asked if he could have a glass of water to wash out the taste of venom, the Academy's hierarchy shifted quietly, like tectonic plates before an earthquake. For the first time in centuries, the poison trial had not revealed weakness, but something far stranger, and none of them were sure how far this strange resilience would carry the lone human who had just humiliated them all. The corridors of Valor Academy buzzed with an attention Ryan barely noticed. Everywhere he walked, alien eyes followed him, compound, multifaceted, or slit pupil, staring at the fragile human who had drunk poisons like soda and lived to complain about the taste. He stretched lazily as he strolled past the trophy case of preserved toxin flasks, yawning as if the entire galaxy hadn't just rewritten its understanding of human biology. To him, it was another weird day at school. To everyone else, it was the shattering of 1,000 years of tradition. Zarn, the reptilian cadet, was the first to confront him, storming into the mess hall with his scales bristling. Plates rattled when his tail slammed against the floor. "You made a mockery of the trials," he hissed, his voice echoing through the vaulted chamber. "No human should have survived, let alone laughed." Ryan, seated at a table, and stabbing his fork into something gray and gelatinous, barely looked up. "Mockery? Dude, I didn't design your little hazing ritual. I just didn't keel over." The hall erupted in murmurs. Some aliens nodded in agreement. Others growled. Zarn bared his teeth. "Then prove it wasn't luck. Face me in the combat ring." Cheers and chittering filled the hall. The prospect of seeing the human crushed thrilled many who still doubted what they had seen in the poison chamber. Ryan sighed, pushed his tray aside, and shrugged. "Fine, but if you puke poison in my face, I'm out." That remark spread through the cadets like wildfire. By the time Ryan stepped into the combat ring, the stands were packed with students, instructors, and even visiting dignitaries. The circular arena gleamed with protective barriers, shimmering fields that could contain any strike within. Zarn entered first, armored scales glittering, muscles rippling under ceremonial straps. He carried a long polearm tipped with a curved blade, designed to slice through exoskeleton. Ryan, by contrast, shuffled in, wearing the same academy tunic he always wore. His sleeves rolled sloppily. He held no weapon. "You didn't even bring one," Zarn was startled. "Forgot to pack one," Ryan replied. The match began with a thunderous gong. Zarn lunged immediately, his weapon whistling through the air. Ryan ducked, rolled, and scrambled up again, breathing hard but still upright. The crowd roared as the polearm slashed across the barrier where Ryan's head had been a moment before. Again and again Zarn attacked, precise, powerful, trained in centuries of martial tradition. Ryan dodged, stumbled, occasionally tripped, but every time he somehow avoided the killing blow. It wasn't elegance, it was chaos. His movements made no sense, no pattern to predict, no rhythm to exploit. He slipped on his own shoe at one point and accidentally ducked under a swing, causing the blade to embed in the floor. The crowd gasped as Ryan used the moment to shove Zarn backward with all the force of someone who'd pushed grocery carts his whole life. Zarn staggered, lost balance, and fell flat on his back. The gong thundered again, signaling a point for Ryan. The audience was silent for a moment before bursting into an uproar. "That wasn't skill," Zarn bellowed, scrambling to his feet, humiliated. "That was chance." "Same difference if it works," Ryan answered, brushing dust off his sleeve. The combat resumed. Zarn swung harder, faster, fury blinding his technique. Ryan's erratic dodges grew wilder. He stumbled, zigzagged, even sneezed at one point. But every motion kept him alive. Then Zarn made a desperate leap, blade raised high, aiming to finish. Ryan panicked, flung his arms upward, and by sheer accident, grabbed the shaft of the polearm midair. Momentum carried Zarn over him, the reptilian warrior slamming face first into the ground, while Ryan clung awkwardly to the weapon. The gong sounded once more. 2 point. The alien cadets were in shock. Some laughed hysterically. Others shouted for rematches. But the arbiter raised a claw. Combat concluded. Human cadet Victoria Zarn lay groaning on the ground, his pride shattered more than his body. Ryan stood awkwardly in the center of the arena, holding the polearm like it was a broom he didn't know how to use. He scratched his head. "So that means I win." The arbiter clicked. "Indeed. By the Academy's law, you are undefeated in trial and combat. You will advance to the Council's evaluation." The Council. That was the final step for cadets who distinguished themselves, where leaders of the academy judged whether someone was worth elevating to officer track. Alien cadets spent years preparing for the chance. Ryan had stumbled into it after 2 chaotic victories. As news spread through the academy, whispers turned into shouts and shouts into arguments. Some declared humans were freaks of biology. Others claimed Ryan's survival and accidental combat win meant humans were unpredictable threats. Alien societies thrived on order, discipline, and tradition. Ryan represented the opposite: randomness, improvisation, and resilience. Without reason, while the academy buzzed, Ryan sat in his quarters chewing on a protein bar, staring at the ceiling. "Council evaluation, huh?" he muttered. "Man, I hope they don't ask me to drink anything else." Outside his door, cadets argued heatedly. Some demanded his removal, others demanded to study him, and a few whispered about alliance. For the first time, the academy wasn't united, all because one human refused to die when he was supposed to. The council chamber was nothing like the trial halls. It was vast, circular, with tiers of glowing seats, where the most influential species of the academy gathered. Their robes shimmered with bioluminescent patterns, their heads crowned with ceremonial devices that hummed faintly. At the center was the platform where cadets stood to be judged. Ryan shuffled in, his academy tunic wrinkled, hair sticking up as though he'd rolled out of bed minutes early. The Grand Arbiter's voice boomed, amplified across the chamber. "Cadet Ryan Keller of Earth, you have survived the poison trial, bested a warrior in combat, and drawn the attention of every faction within these halls. Today you will explain your existence." Ryan rubbed the back of his neck. Explain my existence? That's a lot of pressure. Usually I just say I'm from Ohio." A ripple of disapproval moved through the council seats. The insectoid delegate clicked furiously. "Your biology is chaos. You survived what stronger species could not. Explain how this is possible." "Honestly," Ryan shrugged, "I think it's because humans are used to eating dumb stuff. You ever had gas station sushi at midnight? Or breathe city air after the rain pulls up all the grime? Half the things we put in our bodies would be on your poison list. We didn't evolve to be careful. We evolved to get sick, then get better. Our immune systems treat toxins like annoying roommates. We adapt. That's our trick." The reptilian delegate hissed. "And your combat victory? You stumbled like an untrained hatchling, yet toppled a seasoned fighter." "Oh, that?" Ryan rubbed his chin. "Yeah, I'm not a fighter. But humans are scrappy. We trip, we panic, we do dumb stuff. But sometimes that dumb stuff works. Chaos confuses order. Zarn didn't lose to me. He lost to trying to predict something unpredictable." The chamber filled with murmurs. Some nodded reluctantly. Others scowled. The Arbiter raised a claw. "The Academy was founded to bring the galaxy's finest together. But you bring disorder. Why should we allow a species like yours to remain?" Ryan's expression shifted. For once, he stood straighter, his voice calm but steady. "Because that's exactly why you need us. Every one of you is the best at something: strongest livers, sharpest minds, perfect combat forms. You've optimized yourselves so much you forgot how to handle chaos. Humans, we live in it. Our history is full of disasters, mistakes, and near extinctions. Yet we kept going. We don't win because we're perfect. We win because we don't know when to stop trying. That's not weakness. That's survival." Silence spread across the chamber. The counselors exchanged glances, their bioluminescent robes flickering with uncertainty. Finally, the Grand Arbiter spoke. "The Academy cannot deny what has been proven. The human cadet has survived the trials, spoken with reason, and demonstrated a resilience no other species displayed. Ryan Keller of Earth, you will not only remain, you will be elevated to officer track." Gasps filled the room. Some cadets whooped in disbelief. Others stormed out in fury. Ryan blinked. "Wait, really? Just like that? Do I get like a certificate or something?" The Arbiter ignored his question, declaring, "Let it be known across the Academy. Humans are not weak. They are resilient, chaotic, and vital to our shared survival." In the days that followed, the atmosphere at Valor Academy shifted. Where Ryan once endured mocking looks, now he drew wary respect. Cadets whispered when he passed, some out of fear, some out of admiration. Zarn avoided him altogether, though his glare burned from across every hall. Instructors began including human biology in lessons, dissecting enzymes and immune responses that baffled even advanced scanners. Ryan, for his part, carried on like usual, complaining about cafeteria food, oversleeping drills, and asking why the showers only sprayed mist instead of water. Yet, behind his casual demeanor, he noticed something new. Alien cadets began approaching him, not to insult, but to ask questions. How did humans handle toxins without immunity? How did they fight wars despite weaker bodies? How did they thrive on chaos instead of perfection? He answered as best as he could, often with jokes, but he saw the spark it lit in them. They didn't want to be flawless anymore. They wanted to be adaptable. Months later, during a mock survival exercise, the Academy simulated a catastrophic reactor meltdown. Cadets panicked, systems failed, and the most brilliant strategies collapsed. It was Ryan who improvised, using scrap tubing, spilled coolant, and a lot of duct tape he'd stashed from Earth, to stabilize the system long enough for evacuation. Watching aliens gape as duct tape saved the day was the highlight of his week. When the report reached the council, the verdict was undeniable. Human chaos wasn't a threat, it was an asset. Standing on the training field one quiet evening, Ryan gazed at the stars above the Academy's dome. He wasn't a genius, a warrior, or a leader. He was just a guy who refused to fold when the odds said he should. And somehow that was exactly what the galaxy needed. For the first time since arriving, he let himself grin at the thought. Maybe, just maybe, humanity had found its place among the stars.